Hey everyone, it's John here from Happy Home Assistant. Today we're here cleaning a heat pump. And we decided to film it to go through the process of what we do from start to finish, why we do it, and explain every step to you guys along the way. So one of the first things I do when I come into a house, I come in and I actually just do a little visual inspection of the heat pump while it's running. A visual and an audio inspection, because I like to hear how it sounds as well. So I come up, I can hear there's a little bit of a hum in it, and I don't know, it was like that before we came. And so I end up taking the remote and I'll turn it off. And then as it's turning off, I'm gonna look around and see what's in my way that I can actually move. And so, I see this picture here right now. I know that's going to be in my way. It's easy enough to move in theory. And there we go. So I'll take that and I'll put this over here. Okay, now this is off, and the next thing I'm going to do is I take my phone. I like to open up the vent flap right here, this air flap. I'll just take a little look inside just to see what's going on. Sometimes I like showing this to people because it can get quite nasty in there. This one right now is pretty filthy, if you would like to see it. Now I'm off to the next step. Hey everyone, John still here, and we are now outside on this lovely Cape Breton spring day. We're gonna start with the cleaning process of the actual inverter now. So the inverter, that's the piece of equipment that's outside, and it can get covered up with trees, twigs, branches, pollen, feathers, coffee, you name it. Whatever you can find outside can end up in here. So the first thing we do to actually start cleaning this is we come over to this side, and right over here there is a little box with a fuse in it, and that fuse will shut down the power to this whole system. So before we start any cleaning process, even though we did turn it off inside, we want to make sure it's shut off here as well. So I'm going to pop this out. There it is, that's what it looks like. Sometimes it's a switch, sometimes it's a fuse like this. And so I take that and I put it in my pocket, and that's the very last thing I do when I'm done is I put it back in. So now that it's out, we know it's off, we can actually start the true cleaning process. Okay, so I'm gonna take this front grate off. There we go, all the screws are out, and this should just, boom, come right off, nice and clean. And then next I get to brushing. And then I like to get all the stuff that just makes its way down here, all the dead leaves and twigs and debris, and I'll pull that out. Something like that. But what that can do is that ends up clogging the drainage on there, and you can get the bottom filling up with water, and then it starts to decompose, and it can corrode the metal, or you can get bugs that want to make little nests in there. It also impacts the efficiency in which these things are able to absorb and let off heat as well. Then I go and I do the back. Now that we cleared out the back, I'm going to come over to the actual internal front here, give this another little wipe. And then the little holes in the bottom, I like to make sure those are free and clear of any debris as well, just to make sure that that thing's draining properly and no water's pooling up in the bottom. All right, next we're gonna do the actual cleaning process with our cleaning solution. So in this hand pump right here, we have mixed with water some of our cleaning solution. It's a deodorizer, it's an antimicrobial, it's a degreaser, it's safe to use on any surface, so it covers all grounds for us. And then next I move over to the side, and this stuff as well, it's not harmful to the environment either. And the concentrations we use, it's just a really good cleaner. Now that the cleaner had a little bit of contact time, I'm actually going to wipe the exterior of the casing now too. Give it a good wipe. And now that the cleaner had some contact time with the fins and the coils in there, I'm going to rinse it out as well. So with the rinse, we just use regular tap water. Now that we put everything back together, let's move inside and continue on with the cleaning process and get to the head. Now that we're back inside and out of the rain, thankfully, we're gonna start cleaning the heat pump head itself. So I'm gonna set up my workspace. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take off the filter on the top. Go, look at that. Quick tip, don't forget about your filters. When is the last time you had cleaned your filter? Use this as a reminder. Now I set all the external pieces aside and I take those out and I clean them separately. Now we're at the guts of the machine. An empty jug of shame, just so you see it beforehand. Go, and now once that's on, I like to give everything a little bit of a brush to get rid of any of that, any of the larger dust or hair or anything that's caught up in here. And here we go. So this is the same cleaning solution that we had used outside. So these fins and these coils themselves, they can get quite dirty. The filter is really good at stopping bigger stuff, but little tiny particles, and then eventually if your filter gets super clogged up, things will get wrung through, like some grease or some fats or oils, and they'll end up depositing here on these fins. And the thing about these fins, they have a ton of surface area. They're meant to be metallic so that they can exchange heat really efficiently. But if they end up getting covered with dust or any sort of organic material, they will not work as efficiently. Meaning, while you're running this, it's working a lot harder to warm it up or cool it down, and it'll have to run longer as well. So all this stuff that I'm spraying right now, it's clearly not coming down this tube. It goes into this drip tray right here. And this drip tray, attached to the side, is the hose that leads outside, and that's your drain line. And so that's where you may, on the side of your house, you may see when you have your AC running, you'll see the water coming out of that weird little hose. So while we're cleaning this, and all of our cleaning water is end up going into this drip tray and going out the line outside, it's also working to clean and clear out the tray and the line too. And it'll let us know whether or not there's any sort of blockage in the line as well, which can lead to flooding inside your house if not properly managed. Okay, now I'll let that sit there and set for a little while. And as it sits there, it starts to lift off some of those fats and oils and dirt and grime, whatever is on there. It'll start to lift it off from the metal. And then when I go to rinse it, it'll all go out and right out the drain line. And next we're going to go underneath where the barrel fan is. The barrel fan tends to be the thing that is the dirtiest that I've noticed in heat pumps. They end up getting covered with dust and mold and you know, a lot of things that you do not want to see on the barrel fan. There's a lot of things that you do not want to see anywhere end up on this thing. And when it's spinning, that stuff, the spores and whatever stuff you can't see, it's spraying out, and that's the stuff that you're breathing in. So we're going to do that next. And then the next thing I like to do is I have my little wire brush thing right here. And I get in and I just like to scrub it here. Now this is just the water rinse. Now I'd be able to tell if that drain line was clogged up. So what I did notice actually during this cleaning process is this drip tray is not draining properly at all. It's quite lagged, it's draining at all. So what I'm going to try and do is from this end, I'm going to try and snake it. And if I'm unable to snake it from this end, then I have to go to the exterior, and with a shop vac or some sort of air bolus, I have to plunge it from the other side. There we go. So somewhere around that length along the line, there must have been a little bit of a either a mold plug or yeast plug or whatever in the line, preventing the line from actually draining. What I've noticed is oftentimes it's right near where it actually makes the turn on that corner, or near where it attaches, or where it begins to start draining, where this drip pan attaches to the actual line itself. So we ended up getting it, and stops me, look at that. Stops me from having to go outside and do it from the other end. So nicely done. So now all these internal components, the fins, the coils, the barrel fan on the inside, everything has been cleaned with our cleaner and rinsed with the water. And now we're just going to let it sit here for 10 or 15 minutes and help us with the drying process by dripping the last little bits of water in there. And while that's going on, we're going to take these other components, the filter, the casing, the vent flap, we'll take that outside and we'll clean those all individually. So I'll catch you outside. So now we're back outside in this wonderful, wonderful Cape Breton spring day, and we're gonna clean the casing, the air flap, and then the filter, and then all the other components that we didn't leave inside. So first things first, with the filter, there's a ton of, thick layer of dust and fur and whatever you want to call that stuff. So first thing I do is I physically remove that, and I use a toothbrush to do that. And now that we've gotten all the big physical stuff off, right here is a mixture of vinegar and soap and water, and I give it a good spray down. And after I spray that on, I give it another good little brush up. And obviously, we're going to do this rain or shine, sleet or snow. If it needs to be done, we'll be there to do it. Now we want to give it a good rinsing. Now the filter is where everything starts, where the air first comes in on the inside. So, you want to take the time, you want to take the effort, you want to do this right. This is the start of where everything comes through. There we go. You can see through it now. Set that aside. And then I work on the other pieces. And really it's just, I'll spray them down with the water and I'll give them a wipe if they're really, really dirty. Just to get all that the mold and the dust and all that, everything that gets into little nooks and crannies in there that would never get touched unless somebody went and did this. There we go. Now that everything's done, let's get everything back inside, get ourselves inside, get these dried off, get me dried off, put everything back together, and make sure it's functioning well. And it still will be quite wet on the inside. We'll finish the drying process with the actual heat itself, but I will give it a little bit of a wipe too. Now to put everything back together again. All right, now everything is put back together. Okay, now that we're outside, we're gonna pop the fuse back on, get some power back in this bad boy. On it. Yeah. There we go. Let's go back inside. Now we're back inside, we put the fuse back into place, and we should have power. We finished the drying process with the actual heat pump head itself. So while that's getting up to temperature and finishing off the drying process, I will show you the jug of darkness. So this is the rinse water that came out during the cleaning process. We had done this heat pump about 1 year ago to this day. I mean, look how nasty that water is that came out of it. I wouldn't drink it. I wouldn't even want this stuff on my skin. Yet this is the water that came out of there, the thing that's blowing air at you, that you're breathing. And that's kind of why we say get your heat pump cleaned once a year is a good rule of thumb, because if it gets any further than that, I don't know, nobody's going to be happy in the household. So, with that being said, thank you very much for watching and have a happy day.